Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to graph linear equations using slope-intercept form. So if you read, we have steps. The first step is to write the equation in slope-intercept form. The second is to graph the y-intercept. Remember that this is always the point 0, b. Then we're going to use the slope to create more points. We know that the slope is rise over run, so y over x. And then we're going to use a ruler to draw a line that extends through the points. And always remember to place an arrow passing through those points. Or draw arrows on either end. So let's try number 1. If we look at this, it looks like it is already in slope-intercept form. So let's determine the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope would be equal to -1, and the y-intercept would be equal to, in other words, b would be equal to 5. So our first step is to add the point 0, b. So we're going to graph the point 0, 5. And if we do that, we go to 0, 5, so we're not going to move left or right any, but we're going to move up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our first point is going to be here. Next, we're going to use the slope. Since we have a constant or a whole number, we're going to change this to a fraction. So we have -1 over 1. And we're going to use this to create the rest of our line. So -1 over 1 tells me to go down 1 to the right 1. So we're going to go down 1 to the right 1. That's going to be our next point. Down 1 to the right 1, there's a point. Down 1 to the right 1, another point. Down 1 to the right 1, another point. So once you have about 4 or 5, I would say anywhere from 2 to 5 points, you can go ahead and stop and create your line. Unfortunately, I don't have a ruler with me, so we're just going to freehand it as best as we can. Add arrows to the end, and we have now graphed our very first equation. So let's move on to number 2. We have y is equal to -3x minus 1. First step, is that in slope-intercept form? Yes. So we have to determine the slope and the y-intercept now. So for this one, m is equal to, looks like -3. And since it's a whole number, we can go ahead and change this to -3 over 1. And we can also have the y-intercept, which is b, equal to -1. Now we have to graph the point 0, b, so 0, -1. Let's go ahead and do that. So 0, -1. There's our point. We're going to use the slope to determine our other points. So we have -3 over 1. So that tells me to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And to the right 1. That's going to be our first point. And let's go ahead and reset to our y-intercept and do the opposite of what we just did. So we're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3, to left 1. And if you look, we now have some points and they seem to be in a straight line. So we're going to go ahead and use a ruler or freehand as best as you can a line that passes through all 3 points. Be sure to put your arrows at the end, and that gives us our second graph. So it remains the same for the rest of these. I want you to try number 3 through 8 by yourself. So all of these are by yourself, and we're going to stop and talk about number 9. Okay, so number 9. Is this guy in slope-intercept form? Well, It is, but it isn't at the same time. So let's go ahead and move this around so that it is in slope-intercept form. So we would need to instead write the negative 6 over 5x first, and then plus 1. And that changes it to the y-intercept form, or the slope-intercept. They're interchangeable. So what's the slope? What's the y-intercept? So the slope is negative 6 over 5. The y-intercept is positive 1. So we're going to graph the point 0, 1. Then using the slope, it tells me to go down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the right 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to reset to the y-intercept. I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm not, because that puts me off the graph. So you're going to use a ruler, and you're going to connect these 2 points. And remember to extend a little bit past the point. Well, that was horrible. Let's retry that. We're going to go through the points. It's close enough. Add arrows to the end. And that's going to be our graph for number 9. Let's move on to the next page. So with this page, it looks like we're giving some graphs or some equations that are in standard form. So just like we did in the last video, we're going to have to take some time and change each of these into the slope-intercept form. And once you do that, you're going to use the same method that we have been using to graph it. So I'm actually going to give you 10 through 17 to work on by yourself. And instead of this assignment being counted as notes, it's going to be counted as notes and homework. So it's going to be worth a total of 140 points. So make sure that you are paying attention, and if you do have any questions, please let me know. But you've seen the process, you've seen what we need to do, and it's the same. So you're going to combine what we learned last week to change from standard form into slope-intercept form, and then you're going to use the stuff that we just learned on the front page to graph the equation using slope-intercept form. Again, if you have any questions, please remember that I do have office hours on Fridays, so feel free to pop in. I will be online from anywhere from around 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. But if you can't wait that long, go ahead and send me a message on LiveGrades, text me, call me, do whatever you need to do to get a hold of me, and I will be more than happy to help you. So, there will not be homework associated with this assignment, so go ahead and do this for homework. And once you're finished, go ahead and turn it in. Other than that, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.